Well, we got some good recruiting tidbits for Michigan State football, but first, we've also got some bad news that happened over the weekend.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Spartan friends, Spartan family, how are we all doing to start our week here? Because you know what? We're going to talk recruiting in this first segment, second segment, and third segment. We're going to be joined by Jeremy Dewar of Spartans Illustrated to talk that hockey because an unceremonious finish to their season, getting knocked out in the first round. But ever since then, Isaac Howard wins the Hobie Baker. Him and Trey Augustine are both coming back to Michigan State. So, there's some things to talk about with what could be an all-time great hockey team on campus next winter and fall and spring if they really want to play that far into the season. Please do. But first, guys, football, recruiting, and there was a little bit of good news that happened, but what fun would it be to start a show with that? No, let's talk about the bad news. Let's do it because Gregory Patrick, a kid that we've talked about time and time again on this show, top 200 kid, in-state kid too, also a legacy prospect. His dad also played for Michigan State. He has visited campus roughly 1 skrillion times, and he plays the all-important position of offensive tackle. I know it's not the sexiest position, you're often forgot about. But no, here in East Lansing, we know how important offensive linemen are after the last few years. And here's where the bad news comes. He committed over the weekend to Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, going to South Bend. And let's just get this right out of the way. I want to be crystal clear on this one. I am not making this how could he not come here thing. I'm not going to rail on the kid for his decision whatsoever. This isn't going to be how could he not want to write his legacy here? How could he not continue the family tradition of playing for Michigan State? No, I mean, this is going to be really unfortunate to say. You're not going to like hearing it, but it's not really head scratching as to, why he wants to play for the national runner-ups from last year. It's not really a puzzling decision as to why he wants to play for a program that in last year's draft sent 2 tackles in the first 2 rounds to the NFL. Like, that's a fine program down there in South Bend. Okay, but really why it's just such a bummer is it's just another reminder of what lies ahead for Michigan State, just on the recruiting trail and also what happens on the field too, because when you're trying to win these 4-star kids, even if they are legacy kids, you don't have a draft track record, not just at offensive line, but really, in the last few years, any position. In case you guys needed this stark reminder, I know that you guys have probably turned the show off by now, but it is a bleak outlook that Michigan State has right now. MSU also doesn't have the cachet that these other programs do. Like, for example, in Gregory Patrick's case, it was against Notre Dame, Penn State, and Michigan. It pains me to say this, but Michigan State a few steps behind of where those schools are, not just in getting their players developed for the draft, but also winning on the field too. And how do you win? This is where we fall into the paradox or this catch-22 or whatever cliche you want to use. You win on the field by recruiting. I get it. Mid-2010s, we all fell in love with how D'Antonio did it, getting diamonds in the rough, turning 3-stars into great players. We also saw at the end of his tenure how unsustainable that actually is. They caught lightning in a bottle for that 3-year stretch. Look at all these teams in the playoff. Look at all the teams that are winning their Power 4 conferences. Largely, it's done by recruiting. It is easier to sculpt an NFL player with a statue already partially built, like these 4 and 5 stars are, than just getting a bare slab of stone and saying, good luck, go carve myself a David statue right now. It can happen. But when you look at guys getting drafted, yes, of course you get the guys that are unranked coming out of high school, and look at them, they're going in the top 15. But by and large, proportionally, it's coming from 4 stars and 5 stars. So you got to get yourself out of a hole. But you're armed with a ball of yarn in this case. Well, guys like Notre Dame, Ohio State, they've got helicopters ready to get them out of the hole. They are rolling right now. So why is it a concern for Michigan State? I don't got to tell you, if you watch Michigan State football the last few years, offensive line play is everything. Okay? That's an easy explanation right off the top there. But this one stings a little bit more because this feels like a 4-star battle Michigan State had a really, really good shot with. When we talk to guys like Stephen Brooks, Alan True, 24/7 Sports, they said that this is not on a platter for Michigan State. They didn't say it was necessarily like, hey, if they don't win this, it'll just be so befuddling as to how they didn't do it. Nothing is ever on a platter for you in life, and obviously this one was not on a platter because Michigan State lost out to Notre Dame and other fine schools. But man, if there's ever a kid that Michigan State could have gotten to really make a splash in year 2 under Jonathan Smith, it would be the kid that they've been in connection with ever since this staff got onto campus. There have been other legacy guys that have not come here, like Caden Strayhorn, for example. I think that was just a mutual lack of interest there, okay? Also, Avery Gatch, another kid that is a legacy kid from the state of Michigan. That, of course, they lost to Michigan, a program with a better foothold right now, but you also throw in the fact that the staff got to know him for about a few weeks, a few months. Like this one, though, was a relationship built for about a year. You're feeling okay about it. Hey, Michigan State could be in the lead right now. Well, until they weren't. So if you're not winning this one, like, how are you going to win recruitments over other big schools on a routine basis? Now, that's the key, routine basis. They won Jace Clarizio over Alabama last year. I'm not going to say it never happens. But, man, you got to have it start to happen more consistently than, like, once per class here. And this is also the extra sting on top of the sting, if I might. We've talked about this ad nauseum ever since Jonathan Smith got onto campus. Now, you could debate with yourself whether this is a good strategy or the bad strategy, but Jonathan Smith only gets into battles. He only gets official visitors on campus of kids that, you know, have battles they know they can actually win, that have like a decent shot of winning. So there's not a ton of 4-stars scheduled to visit. I'm talking the rest of this month. I'm talking going into the end of June. I think you can count on one hand the amount of 4-stars that have scheduled visits for Michigan State so far. Now, there still is plenty of time to get more scheduled. I'm not freaking out yet. I'm just telling you, there's not a lot of 4-star battles Michigan State is in right now. So if you are in them, you got to start winning these things because, well, again, guys, hey, how do you get ahead in the world of college football? It is by recruiting. So you got to go ahead and win these battles that you are wagering. Now, could Gregory Patrick flip? Will Michigan State still try to get his commitment? Yeah, of course they're going to keep trying, I'm sure, but I really have a hard time believing that this is going to be a flip situation. Just where Notre Dame is just in the prestige of college football. They just got in the national title game where they're sending offensive linemen in the draft, and also really strong academic school, which I understand was pretty important for Gregory Patrick too. Why I also think that maybe you shouldn't hold out hope for a flip is that Michigan State has already flipped to plan B, and this is where we're going to get into the good news that happened over the weekend. It wasn't all doom and gloom in East Lansing in the world of recruiting. Now, yes, Michigan State, for 2026, you got to drive a little north, but they do have an offensive tackle already committed in Eli Bickle. Now, this is where, hey, Michigan State gets back into one of these 4-star battles. Again, they don't have a lot going on right now, but this is another one that they are starting to wage war on. Kelvin Obot out of the great sunny state of Idaho. He is the number 26 offensive tackle according to Rivals. Top 250 kid regardless of position in the nation. And actually, if you want to take 24/7 Sports word for it, they have him in the top 150. He was on campus for an official visit as a 6'5", 285-pound prospect from Fruitland, Idaho. Now, this is the first visit to Michigan State for him. It was an official visit. And also, guys, he has offers from Florida, Washington, Nebraska, Tennessee, Michigan, Ohio State, etc. I mean, he's a 4-star offensive lineman. He's going to have some suitors out here. Now, this staff, no strangers to Idaho. You got to go back to the 2024 class, but they did get offensive linemen who did play as a true freshman last year, Rakeem Johnson, and also for all you kicking fans out there, Martin Connington too. Now, that wasn't the only official visitor from the offensive tackle class. They also had Quinn Buckey out of California. Now, he's the number 69 overall offensive tackle prospect, according to 24/7 Sports. He comes from a long line of football players. His dad played at Stanford. He's got a brother that plays at UCLA, another brother that plays at Stanford. Both of those California schools have offered him too. Now, he's also mentioned visiting Oklahoma State, California, Arizona, Vanderbilt. Some of those he already has visited. Others, they're just planned visits. But He did have this quote to Spartans Illustrated, the fine folks doing work over there, part of the Rivals Network. He said that distance from home is a little bit of a factor, but if it's the right fit, distance won't matter. I would say the main things are having a good coach to develop you and also being at a great academic school. So really strong relationship with Jim Maholchek, also cited in that Spartans Illustrated piece. But yes, guys, I know that we're starting the week with the bad news of Gregory Patrick, but you know what? Some good news. They're still not done trying to get offensive tackles on campus. So, hey, long way to go until signing day for 2026, but that is the update right there. All right, guys, we'll be back with some hockey talk, but first need to talk your ears off about Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder where did all my money go? Well, between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it is easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Now, Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start building your wealth. Now, when I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery, especially, during the Masters, March Madness. You kind of just turn into a slug on the couch that just wants food brought to you by some stranger out there, and boy, does that add up. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money, guys. Use code LOCKDOWNCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKDOWNCollege for half off your first year. All right, now it's working. There we go. Perfect. All right, here we go. Guys, you already know who he is. It's Jeremy Dewar of Spartans Illustrated. This man is all things Spartan hockey, and it has been a while since we've talked to Jeremy. It's actually been quite some time. A bit has happened ever since we've talked, Jeremy. Michigan State, they had a tough exit in the NCAA tournament against Cornell. I, for one, don't think that we should spend much time, if any time, on that because it happened. It's over. Many more exciting things have happened since, though. So let me start here, Jeremy. What is a bigger upset in the world of hockey? Isaac Howard and Trey Augustine both coming back to Michigan State next year, or whatever the USA did in 1980 at Lake Placid against USSR. What is the bigger upset between the two things I just named? Because this seems like it came out of a 0.1% chance of happening.
Yeah. I was just say, 1980, I wasn't alive, so I couldn't get owned online for saying there's a 0% chance of it happening. So I'll have to go with Ike and Trey back. Trey, I felt like was possible, but there was even up until like a week before Ike came back, people were asking like, hey, he hasn't signed. I was like, there's 0% chance. There's just no way, guys. Don't do this to yourselves. Don't do it. And he's back. So should have kept in mind that the guy that wears the white tux or white suit to the NHL draft really goes by his own decision. Don't try and read him. Don't try and tell him what to do. He's going to do his own thing, and he did it. So I'm still, not to like throw cold water on it. I'm still a little nervous. Like if he gets traded this summer, that another team signs him. But everything he says sounds like he's locked in, and I don't think it's going to change. So.
I was going to say, like, the hay isn't entirely in the barn there, right? Like, there is that situation where he could get traded, get in contract negotiations with his new team. But even then, okay, since we're so good at percentages lately, Jeremy, like, what percentage would you give that he's going to play for Michigan State next year?
I mean, definitely, I would say that it's over 50%. Like, everything that he's said and the way that his people have kind of handled it have been – for me too, like the program has gone, like Nightingale's had his interview with Graham Couch where he talked about it.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's always the chance. Like, I mean, MSU, even we've had this, like Mason Appleton signed with his team in Winnipeg in like July. Like, you're expecting him to come back, and Logan Cooley did it to Minnesota. But yeah, like you said, Isaac's his own guy. So I also feel like Isaac would be the type that'd be like, oh, cool, you traded for my rights. That's great. We'll talk at the end of next season. Like, I could see him being that way. So, it's not 100% locked in. I'm not quite there, but I would say it's above 50%.
So with that, with Howard coming back, Augustine coming back, I think I read in that Graham Couch piece too, if I, was doing good reading comprehension, 15 NHL draft picks on this roster next year. Like, how hyperbolic can I be, Jeremy? Can I say, like, this is going to be an all-time great team at Michigan State? Can I go as far as saying this is going to be one of the all-time greatest talent pools in college hockey history? Like, how far can I reasonably and responsibly take this thing?
I feel pretty safe saying for MSU, no one's going to top it, especially if you go by NHL pedigree. Like, there's nothing close. Like, I mean, it's hard to do. Like, then you get into the deep discussion of, well, it was never the NHL didn't draft nearly as many college guys in the past, so there was no chance that any team previous to the last 10 to 15 years could even pull that off. So,
gotcha.
There's some reasons why previous teams could never reach this goal, but I also like it's hard. It's such a weird summer too. Like, I feel most summers I could go in saying, well, yeah, 15 NHL guys, this is unreal. Like, no one's going to have that. But now CHL guys can start committing it to colleges. So I know there's some big names in the WHL and the OHL who are linked to colleges. So it's hard to know. Like, BU might be an absolutely stacked roster. The portal's still going on. Like, don't know quite yet how it's going to settle. But I feel what I started saying this weekend is I feel pretty safe saying like top 5 team in the country next year, and they're not number 5. So, playing for a 1 seed again, all those types of things.
So what is success for next year? Like, is it just like hot take podcasting to say it has to be the Big Ten sweep again? They got to get to at minimum a Frozen Four, because in that piece with Graham, like, he did say, yeah, I actually took some good solid takeaways from my team that we did lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and they did take it as a back-breaking failure. Like, so is it sweep Big Ten, just never let Michigan score a goal the entire season when you play against them, you got to go to the Frozen Four, or like what else is there for this team to accomplish that's not a Frozen Four? I mean,
at this point, I think they've earned the right. Like, as a fan, I don't want to be this way, but I think that, and I'm sure they won't take this stance, but I don't really care about the Big Ten. Like, just win it. Like, if you lose the Big Ten and you win the Natty, that's what it's about next year.
Sure.
Like, you kind of are playing with house money to get Trey and Ike back. Like, it was probably projected to be a little bit of a reload year or a slight rebuild year, not a full rebuild. They would have been an NCAA tournament team if those two guys were gone. Like, that's for sure. But now with those two guys back, it kind of feels like I don't really care. Big Ten, great. Like, yeah, let's go win that. But
you might as well, right?
Yeah. Well, on the way, you should pull it off. But it's all about that NCAA tournament for them and figuring out a way to get out of the first weekend, and then once you get to the Frozen Four, just put a couple games together.
So we will talk about Isaac Howard here a little more in a second, because he did win the Hobie Baker over the weekend. That is not missed with us here. But yeah, as we're talking, Howard, Augustine, those are obviously the top 2 marquee guys coming back next year. Who else are you just most excited for next year? Is anyone trending really well at the end of this season? Anyone set for a major offseason coming up, or who's got your eye here?
I mean, Charlie Stramel was probably the best player the last few weeks of the year. And he, similar to Isaac Howard, like, Minnesota really had to consider that they need to sign him or else they could lose him next summer. And he was pretty early on between him and the organization, like, yep, he's coming back. So that's what I'm excited about, just because, like you said, the trending at the end of the season, he was trending up completely. A guy I tweeted about this weekend too, like Matt Basgall, who won second team All-American on defense, like, continue to have no one think about him. He's going to be one of the rare guys that's not drafted on this roster.
Gotcha.
But I think he's having a senior year where kind of a mix of things, right? He's going to have a senior year where he wants to earn an NHL contract if he can to avoid the minors. He's going to want to earn the biggest signing bonus he can. And also unfortunately took the penalty in the Cornell game that I know is sitting with him. Like, I've talked to guys enough to know, like, his answers, he's usually one of the best guys to the press, and I think he gave 1-word answers and 4 words total after that game. So, he's probably the guy that is most, when Nightingale was saying the things about, like, we were a failure, I think he was the first guy I thought of. And it's not about me and my vision of Matt, but I know how Matt views himself, right? And so I know he's going to be one to watch. And then freshman-wise, Caden Lindstrom, assuming he still comes. I mean, that's a top 5 NHL pick. Like,
it's not bad.
and you have Tyson Jugnoth, who's coming in as a junior, not out of the portal, but it's weird because he played at Wisconsin and close to he was a 100-point defenseman this year. So, yeah, man, it's kind of going to be unreal. Like, the line chart is going to just be full of NHL logos. So.
After all this talk, like, I mean, because you're the Michigan State hockey connoisseur, and you did this before it was in vogue. Like, you were in the trenches of the Tom Anastas, Danny Cole era. Like, do you ever just think like, man, 5, 7, 9 years ago, like who would have ever thought we'd be here? Or did you always kind of think that this was within Michigan State's DNA eventually? It just took the right guy and the right resources to eventually get back up to this level.
I mean, it was hard to see it. Like with also doing my job working with young hockey players, like it was hard to see it, man. You would talk to the top kids and you would look at who they're talking to, and it was, Denver, North Dakota, Minnesota, Michigan, and even Wisconsin is in there.
Okay.
And you're like, okay, well, maybe we could be like Wisconsin. That's a Big Ten name. They're not really winning a lot, but that's a Big Ten name that shows you it's going to be possible. But and that's before you even get into the East Coast schools. Like, this is just the Western,
right?
The Western edge, right? And it was like, it kind of just felt like, growing up, like Ron Mason never had the NHL guys that Red Berenson did, but he had 8 to Red's 11, right? It was like, okay, if we can just get to that, if we can get to 7 to 10 guys that are drafted and other guys that are on the bubble. But now you just like a top 5 NHL pick is coming here, choosing us over Michigan. And it is way faster than I ever thought it was going to be possible. Like, it helps. The portal helps. And the change with the CHL helps. But you have a coach who has just hit the nitrous oxide on it, and it's been beautiful to watch.
Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. We are talking Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. And plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts and 400 top brands to choose from, you'll find exactly what you are looking for delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you will always talk to a real person. And for the trade pros looking for that extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it is your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. Guys, that's over at supplyhouse.com. So, over the weekend, to the dismay of John Bushgrass, he opens up the envelope and says, your Hobie Baker winner is the one, the only Isaac Howard of Michigan State University. Jeremy, you know a lot more about hockey than I do. That's no secret. This is why everyone says, hey, can you get Jeremy back on to talk hockey? No one ever says, hey, can you talk about hockey, Matt? No. There's no facade here. Everyone knows what they're getting on this show. But you as a hockey elite person, was this a surprise at all? Did you think he was going to win this going into the weekend, or just bring us through just the whole drama of the Hobie Baker Award here?
I mean, it was a surprise to me. Like, I thought Ryan Leonard would be who won. I will say, like, in all fairness, it's a down year for the Hobie in general.
Okay.
Like, I think you can compare it to past years, and you're looking at the guy who just won the Hobie had 52 points. That's not a ton.
Gotcha.
And so, like, when he got to the final 3, for me personally, I think the best hockey player out of the 3 is Zeev from Denver. But I'm a defenseman, so I always go defense first, right? But for me, I thought he would finish 3rd, and I thought it would be between Isaac and Ryan. And one is, I just know that college hockey has an East Coast bias, so that made me think Ryan right away. And I also figured that for people that couldn't choose who they wanted to vote for, to me, Ryan is going to be the big name in the NHL. Like, Isaac's still going to have a great NHL career, but I think most people feel like Ryan Leonard is going to be the biggest NHL impact out of the 3 of these guys.
Okay.
And I just thought, okay, that's going to push him over the edge. People are going to vote NHL future plus the East Coast bias. So I was a little shocked. Like, I wasn't like, I mean, I had family obligations, but also I wasn't really paying that close of attention to it.
Okay.
I wasn't prepped that Isaac would win, so I was a little shocked for sure, and even crazier to think he's coming back to possibly repeat. Who knows? But it was shocking. Like, the Ryan Miller one in 01 was like, no, the only thing that made you feel like you couldn't win was being a goalie. But this one was like, no, this is kind of shocking. For sure.
So when he comes back next year, what is the next gear for him? Is there something missing in this game that you expect that he will work on this offseason and come in hot to next year with?
I mean, he did this year was he started goal scoring a lot more, and that's what he needed to do. Next year, I think the only thing you can nitpick is just that consistency. And I think for him, again, if he wants to nitpick, not in the Big Ten tournament. The Big Ten tournament, he was awesome. He scored the game-winning goal. He scored almost 75% of our total goals. But I think for him, he would probably love to be a bigger impact in the big-time games, the Michigan games. We're going to play BU next year. I think for him, that's a big series to come out and show that you can score against the top competition, and not just not that he did this, but you just don't want to stack points against the lower half of the league and you're out of conference. You want to find it. And for him, he wants to get the NCAA tournament games. He's got to do a stretch run there. And I think that's the only thing he can improve. But overall, his game's there. By the end of the season, he was out there on penalty kill. He was doing the penalty kill against Cornell. That's stuff that you never would have said about him 2-3 years ago. So it's just probably taking everything he's doing well and just taking it up another notch.
So in the last month, you saw the Big Ten tournament repeat, of course, right there at Munn in overtime dramatic fashion. You saw the devastating loss against Cornell, first round of the NCAA tournament. But now, oh my goodness, Hobie Baker himself is coming back, and also Trey Augustine. Jeremy, has the last month, even with that devastation first rounder, has it been that positive? Is this loser talk to even ask that question? But hey, it's a sunny horizon coming up for MSU hockey, man.
I think it's a slight net positive to at least a neutral.
Okay,
for me, because you know what I would gladly take, that those two guys are gone, but we just finished off the Frozen Four this weekend, and I'd be happy to wish them farewell on their pro careers, right? If they won a trophy this weekend. But outside of that, which only one team gets to do. Absolutely a net positive. And I think there's a huge impact to next year, but I think even Nightingale touched on it in a little bit in the piece with Graham. And I know, again, just from conversations, what everyone is celebrating right now is these two being back. But I can tell you right now, there's a 15-year-old that's going to get the call from MSU, or a 16-year-old that's going to get a call from MSU this summer, that Ike Howard is going to get to commit, or Trey is going to get to commit. Because listen, these guys are two of the top players in college hockey, and they're sticking around because they are sticking around not just because they didn't win an NCAA title, but they talk about, I'm going to develop better under Nightingale and Will Morlock than I am the AHL, playing in the minors. So that's the stuff that's going to, you tell that to a recruit and you're just going to rock it up with the top guys. It's fun to think about it now, but it also is I'm looking forward to August when these recruit commits start rolling in. Let's see how big it gets, because they're going to definitely pump Isaac Howard as on that recruiting trail heavy for sure.
No kidding, man. Okay, so all things considered, not a terrible month for Michigan State hockey. We will take this, of course. If you could redo things, you want them to win, but right now we are in reality, and the reality is that Michigan State's coming in hot to next fall. Can't wait. Jeremy, it's just a sensational chat with you as always. Of course, I love it. I love talking to you always, whether it's on camera, off camera, but I know the fine, beautiful listeners of Locked On Spartans, they love themselves some Jeremy Dewar when it comes to hockey talk. So thank you, as always, for your time, your insight, your knowledge. You're the best, Jeremy.
Thank you, bud. Go green.
Hey, go white, guys. We will be back tomorrow because, we do this 5 days a week here at Locked On Spartans. I am sorry for the sporadic, release of the episodes here. I like to get them out in the morning, but sometimes I can only record during the afternoon. And in this day and age, especially with the transfer portal opening up on Wednesday, something I record at 3 could also not be true at 7. So I just drop these episodes when I record them. I'm sorry, they're so sporadic. I'll try to get more organized here in the future. But hey, that's how we keep you sharp out there, guys. We drop these things just whenever. So stay tuned, Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white. Love you all. Go green.